everybody, Matt here from Matt Likes Comics. This video is a little different than my usual ones and may be slightly longer than some of them. I I have a new addiction, sadly. I got a fever, and that fever is more cowbell. No, I'm joking. It's not more cowbell. Although I would agree with him that it should be more cowbell. Everybody knows me as a DC fanatic, specifically the Superman family, and I'm a pretty big Conan fan too. In the last year and a half, I have developed a love and a desire to own comics from another company. That company, I should say, it's two companies, but they're intertwined. That company is Western, specifically with the Dell imprint, the Gold Key imprint, and the Whitman imprint. Now, of course, that goes from like 1938, 39 to I think 1984. They stopped doing comic books, that sort of era. So I mean, it's gold, silver, bronze age, right? The kind of stuff that most people like. The problem is, I find myself wanting it all. That is an impossibility. Why? Why does this keep happening? I'm not giving up on my Superman. Hell no, if anything, I'm pushing a little harder to get the ones that I don't have. But the fact is, that collection is getting to the point where if I really want the stuff, I need to get a lot of money put aside. And the other one, Conan, I'm getting to the point where I have 3/4 of the collection, and I don't think, except for issue 1 and maybe issue 24 and 45, I think, there's not a lot of expensive books, and that could easily be done. Pardon me. But this company, Dell / Gold Key / Whitman, I really like. Every book I read from them, I just enjoy. There's very little that I've said, okay, that's trash. Granted, some of it's not the most intellectual under the world, especially the cartoon books. But I like it a lot. So I have started in the last year or so, I've started buying them. Now, this is not my entire collection from this company. This is just a sample. Companies, I should say. As I said, they are a mix. But one of the things I like about them is that in a lot of cases they're wholesome. And by wholesome, I just mean like you're just going to get a quick little read, and there'll be some jokes, and then it's over. And it's not going to keep you up at night. That's what I'm more thinking about, because there have been a couple of comic stories that I've read in the Batman universe that I said, okay, that is over the top. That's and it's kept me awake because it kind of freaked me out. You may say, well, you're taking comics way too seriously, you idiot, which is fine by me. You can go ahead and say it, even with the idiot part. But the fact is, even the Boris Karloff books from this are just nice little stories. They're not going to keep you awake at night. But they do have cool covers, and that's the thing I like about them. Forget the writing. This is one of the few times that I could say I like the art. Like, the covers for the Gold Key, the painted side, are very good. Yes, I'm being very disjointed here. Sorry, I should have planned this better. But the fact is, this Dell, Gold Key, Whitman runs have history, have pop culture significance because of what they have. They're almost all licensed characters. There's very few books that are created by them. That's only happened by Dell in the 60s for the most part. You get you get things from like this Boris Karloff Tales of Mystery to Bugs Bunny to other stuff, Twilight Zone, to real people like Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, etc., etc. Granted, most of the real people ones were westerns, but this was the 1950s, and the 1950s westerns dominated. I don't know if you know this, but if you were to look at a TV guide between 1950 and 1969, probably half the shows would be, or one third of the shows would be westerns. It was really popular back then with Gunsmoke and Bonanza and all that. Roy Rogers and Trigger, what's his name there? Oh my God, John Wayne. How did I forget John Wayne's name? It happens. But what I also liked was in the 60s, the Dell that continued picked TV shows of the day like Get Smart, which I have an issue of. Datkari. Oh my God, I can't pronounce. Well, I have one of the books here. I think it's Daktari because it sounds like I remember thinking it was the Republican money. Daktari, get it? And things like Mission Impossible. There was The Man from U.N.C.L.E., that kind of stuff. I love the fact that they took all this type of stuff and made it into books. And the point is the sheer variety, because you've got Walt Disney, you've got Warner Brothers, you've got Walter Lantz with the Woody Woodpecker and Andy Panda, you've got Hanna-Barbera with Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Berra, etc., and the Pink Panther and the Inspector. I have like 5 issues of the Inspector from Pink Panther. Bought those in a dollar bin in one shot. So the fact that they're all over the place is one of the things I liked about it. And I've bought more of certain characters that I like a lot of, but I've bought quite a bit around to try it out. I think in the next 2 years, I might try to buy 2 or 3 of these every time I go to a show, but not kill myself trying to do it. But the fact is, I like this company. I'm beginning to fall in love with this company, and I thought I'd take some time to talk about and show off some of the books I've got from them that is creating this love of Dell / Gold Key / Whitman with me. By the way, when I say Whitman, I do not include the Whitman variants of DC Comics. That is still DC and is still listed as DC books, even if with the Whitman cover on it. I want to make that clear. So if you think, oh, I've got this DC Whitman, it's not really the same. Okay? So I've shown this already, but I'm just going to go through this pile in the order that it is. This is Boris Karloff 27. Again, it's the painted covers of the non-cartoon stuff like Space Family Robinson, Turok, Tarzan that really turned me on to this stuff. And with Dell, they used a lot of photo covers, which was also kind of cool. I know some people say, well, it should be art. But the thing is, when painting is art, and secondly, photos are art. It's just a different medium. But more importantly, when you're doing, stuff based off of TV and or, in this case, you've got Boris, he's painted, but that comes from a photograph. This is, by the way, this is issue 35 of Boris Karloff. Tales of Mystery. Issue 59. I know I've shown some of these before in previous videos, but it's been a while, so I think I can get away with it. 61. And 69. What I find interesting too, as a historical perspective, as a guy who likes to dig into the history of the books, it's neat to figure out, okay, this started as a 4-color and then became its own series, and then it went from Dell to Gold Key on this one, and it's always interesting to see that sort of thing. And that's where the Overstreet does come in handy. So this is Grimm's Ghost Stories 32, 33, 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39. Now, here, the next set of books are ones I know I've shown before. But again, it shows you the variety that is underneath these ones. I've chosen one of my favorites is because it's one of my daughter's favorites, of course, is Daffy Duck. This is number 4, which was the first actual issue named Daffy. The 3 before, as part of the, as I said, the research, were 4-color issues that are considered issues 1, 2, and 3 of Daffy. So you've got number 4, number 14. There, and this is where it gets interesting. Those are Dells, and now we're into Gold Keys with issue 51. 58. 62. 78, which also had the Roadrunner in it. And number 117. One of the things about Dell Gold Key that you have to keep in mind is a lot of them, the numbers are on the inside. So as you can see, I put a little stickies with the issue number on the bag, just so it makes it easier for me to see and realize what issue number it is. Now, we've already gone through the majority of the books. I have. But I have these, like to give you an example, they also did Dell Giants. And there are several different things under the Dell Giants label. I've got a few others there. I've got Dell Giant Walt Disney, for example, that I haven't read yet. But here is a Bugs Bunny's Christmas Funnies. They did this once a year under the Dell Giant thing. This is issue 3. See, there's the Dell. And issue 4. And I know I showed those recently, but these are fun. Here is Turok, Son of Stone 86. And look at this painting cover. It appeals to me so much. Here we have Tweety and Sylvester 45. Again, another example of some pretty cool older books. And then we've got Walt Disney Super Goof, number 23. And we have number 58. By the time, here's an example of a Whitman book. This is one of the, this is what I tried to do, was get books where I could have examples of everything. Whitman was later, of course, and by the time it became Whitman, they actually started printing the number on the book, which is kind of weird because Dell sometimes put numbers on their books, but sometimes they didn't. Here is Daisy and Donald, number 35. And here I was right, it was Daktari, haha. This is issue 1. This is an example of the Dell books I was talking about after they lost the licenses for all the characters. That they went and got TV licenses. And Daktari was a TV show that was on for 3 years. About this doctor who went to Africa and, looked after animals. And humans when necessary, but it was mostly animals. So there's that. And I'm using that as an example and here is an example of a photo cover from the old Dell for the Tarzans. This is Tarzan 83. And this is from the TV show that was out then. They used a lot of movie and/or there's The four color, which I actually do not have any of, which I'm shocked myself, but Four Color was a series that basically ended in 1962 when they lost all the licensing for all the cartoon characters because they were a series of one shots and there'd be 5 or 6 of them a month in some cases, and they were always like for example, they would do Disney movies as a one shot. They'd do Disney, like Annette Funicello has a four color book because of the Mickey Mouse Club, as an example. So the four color title is one that would be an interesting collection in itself because that feels like it's a collection that can never be done. I mean, there were 1,365 or something like that in the second series of four color, and like 69 in the first. I don't know if exactly. I again should have prepared better, but in this case, I just wanted to excuse me. I wanted to express my new love for a new company, and I hope that other people who love books from this from Dell, Gold Key, Whitman. I'd like to see more of those types of videos myself, because that is one thing I've noticed that there's not a lot of on YouTube. There doesn't seem to be a lot of Dell collectors out there, or if there are, they're like Golden Age collectors, and they throw the odd Dell book out there, or they again Bronze Age collectors like Comic Mike, who show the odd, oh, here's number one of this, which is great and dandy. So do not take this as a criticism. I'm just saying there doesn't seem to be a lot out there. I've done a couple of Dell books where I did Donald Duck, I did Daffy Duck, I did Bugs Bunny not too long ago. All favorite characters of mine. And I'm just realizing, like, doing these videos makes me realize how much I love them. I have spread, my daughter has picked up a love of Looney Tunes in the last 6 months or so. We watch, especially Daffy. She loves Daffy. Daffy is her favorite. And the other one we like to watch is the Roadrunner and Coyote, because we like to count how many times he falls off the cliff in each individual episode. So far, his record is 12. Don't ask me which cartoon it is. It's one of them, but it's one where he falls off multiple times off the same cliff. That much I remember. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. If you like Dell Comics or Gold Key, etc., please like, comment, subscribe below, and tell me which books you like. Tell me what you like about them. Tell me if you hate them. Tell me anything. Tell me if the weather's outside is nice. I just like to hear from you. Thank you very much for joining me today. My name is Matt. I like comics, and apparently I really like Dell, and I hope you do too. Bye, everybody.